I am Nityananda Gaikwad. I have been shouldering the responsibility as a junior college teacher in our Sanstha since last 7 years. I welcome all of you on behalf of Anna Saheb Avte College, Mansar in this lecture. So students, today we are going to deal with a very nice poem by an Indian poetess, Sarojini Naidu. And the title of the poem is Indian Waivers. So before starting our poem, let us know something about the poetess Sarojini Naidu. So the period of Sarojini Naidu is from 1879 to 1949. She was a political activist, she was a famous feminist, she was first Indian woman who became the president of Indian National Congress. She was important figure in Indian freedom fight. She was also known as Nightingale of our India. She was the first woman to hold the office of governor in independent India. She shouldered the responsibility as a governor of UP. Her some famous poems, famous literary works, I will tell you. Her famous poems are like Past and Future, The Poet to Death, Song of a Dream, The Gift of India, Life, and as all of you know, the Indian Waivers. Now, before beginning the poem, I will tell you something about this poem. As this Indian Waivers is a very short poem, it consists only 12 lines and each of the stanza of this poem carries only 4 lines. The poet talks about the 3 types of dresses that the Indian waivers weaving at that 3 particular times of the day. Metaphorically, each time and the dress waved by the weavers speak about our life or the stages of our life. The poetess uses a number of literary devices or figures of speech such as alliteration, simile, imagery, etc. in this poem. This poem has a conversational tone. Conversational tone means a kind of dialogue is there. Poetess asks some questions to the weavers and the latter reply her questions. In this way, the whole poem reveals the stages of our whole life. The stages are our childhood, our adulthood, and finally our aged life. Now, before beginning the poem, let me read the whole poem first, and after that we will deal with this poem stanza wise. So, the first stanza. Weavers, waving at break of day. Why do you wave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild, we wave the robes of a newborn child. Weavers, waving at fall of night. Why do you wave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of peacock, purple and green, we wave the marriage veils of a queen. Weavers, waving solemn and still. What do you wave in the moonlight chill? White as a feather and white as a cloud, we wave a dead man's funeral shroud. So, in this way, childhood, adulthood, and our aged life is described in this poem. So, the first stanza, I will go stanza wise now. The first stanza, weavers waving at break of day. Why do you wave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild, we wave the robes of a newborn child. In the first stanza, the poetess asks question to the weavers. In first 2 lines, there is question by the poetess to the weavers, and next 2 lines, there is answer by the weavers. So, what is the question? It is the time, break of day. It means it is early in the morning. And why you wave a garment so gay? So, this word gay means it is related to happy mood. So they wave the garment happily there. Why are you so happy? Why are you waving the garment so happily? Then the wavers reply that they are waving the robes of newborn child, and those robes are like wings of Halcyon wild. They are blue in color. So this color, blue color, it symbolizes hopes, expectations, and happy mood of our life. In the first stanza, poetess asks a question to the Indian weavers, why they are weaving clothes in the beautiful morning so happily, and the weavers then reply that they are weaving the blue clothes for newborn baby, and the clothes are blue like the wings of Halcyon wild. Halcyon means it is a kind of bird, and Halcyon means it is bird named kingfisher. So the robe means that garment which is very long up to our ankle, and the robes are for newborn child, newborn baby, and the robes are very attractive. They are blue in color like that of Halcyon wild. That kingfisher is also a sign of what we can say good omen. So it is good omen. The first stanza related with good omen. It is a time break of day. It is related with our childhood. In this way, the first stanza tells us about our hopes and expectation. That blue color is intentionally used here. It tells us about our hopeful life or hopes in our life. Now the next stanza. What is the next stanza? Weavers waving at fall of night. Why do you wave a garment so bright? Now there is time, fall of night. Fall of night means it is dusk time. Dusk time means not full night or not a day. The time when the sun goes beyond that horizon. So it is dusk time, time of twilight. And at that time, why do you wave a garment so bright? Those weavers are waving the garment, and the garment is very bright. Then the weavers reply, they answer, like the plumes of peacock, purple and green. They are waving that garment which is purple and green in color. We wave the marriage veils of a queen. And now at this time they are waving, they are knitting the cloth, and those clothes are for marriage purpose. Those clothes are for bride or bridegroom, and it is time of our young stage. So in this second stanza, our young stage, our youth is reflected. So this stanza, poet asks, why do you wave a garment so bright? Then the weavers reply that we are waving the marriage veils of a queen. Those are purple and green in color, and it is like plumes of peacock. We call it Marathi Mayur Pankha. So they are colorful. All of you know that our youth or our adulthood is colorful. We in this stage of life, we struggle for the betterment of our life. We want to do some heroic things. So it is reflected in this stanza. So we, in this stage of the life, we have enthusiasm, we have thirst to do something heroic. We succeed, we fail, we love, we try to achieve some successful success or prosperous life. So color purple and green also stands for enthusiasm and progress, etc. So in this line or in this stanza, our youth or stage of our life, it is adulthood, it is reflected. Now the last stanza, weavers waving solemn and still. What do you wave in the moonlight chill? Now the time is moonlight chill. So it is full night, darkness, but it is not darkness. In that darkness there is moonlight. So darkness is black in color and moonlight is white in color. So those two colors are used here, black and white. So the poetess asks, weavers waving solemn and still, what do you wave in the moonlight chill? Then the latter reply, white as a feather and white as a cloud, we wave a dead man's funeral shroud. So in this stage or in this final stanza, poet observes or the poetess observes that the weavers are waving the clothes in chill midnight or moonlight, but they are solemn. Solemn means they are very serious, and they are still, they are motionless. So their mood is of that unhappy mood, and they are waving their clothes. On asking them, they reply that they are waving white clothes, and clothes are as white as that of feather and of like that cloud. So white color, to describe that white color, the help of feather and cloud is taken here. So pure white color is used in this final stanza. They are waving these clothes for funeral, and they reply that we wave a dead man's funeral shroud. That shroud means that white colored cloth which we use to cover dead body, dead person. So in this stanza, the weavers reply that they are waving the white clothes for the funeral, and they are waving the shroud. In this way, in the first stanza, our childhood is described. In the second stanza, our youth, or we can say our adulthood is described, and the final stanza, our aged life. So our end time is described in the final stanza. In this way, we dealt with this poem, Indian Weavers. Now we have finished our poem, which is composed in only 3 stanzas, carrying 4 lines each. Now this poem travels from our birth, our adulthood, to our death. Now which figures of speech used in the poem? So let us move towards figures of speech. Number 1, the first figure of speech used in this poem, it is alliteration. So what is alliteration? So alliteration is nothing but it is pleasing repetition of consonant sounds. Pleasing repetition of consonant sounds, it means the alliteration. In alliteration figure of speech, in a line of the poem, there is pleasing repetition of consonant sounds. For example, this is not example from our poem, it is out of our poem. For example, sheep should sleep in a shade. So which sound is repeated here? Sh, sh and sh. So in this way, repetition of sh consonant, it is called as alliteration. Now which lines from this poem carry alliteration? Look at the poem. Weavers waving at break of day. It means w, those w sound is repeated here, so it is an example of alliteration. Now again, weavers waving at fall of night, so here is also repetition of w sound, so it is an example of alliteration. Then next example, weavers waving solemn and still. S, w and w, those sounds are repeated, so it is also an example of alliteration. And the last example of alliteration is we wave a dead man's funeral shroud. So here is also w, and v is repeated, so it is an example of alliteration. So in this poem, first important figure of speech is used and it is alliteration. And the examples of alliteration are, I have denoted those examples by making star in front of those lines. This line, this line, this line, and this line. This line is also an example of alliteration. We wave the marriage veils of a queen, so it is also an example of alliteration. Now next figure of speech, and the figure of speech, second figure of speech is simile. So dear students, what is simile? Simile is nothing but a comparison between two different things which have minimum one quality similar. Comparison between two different things which have minimum So simile is comparison between two different things which have minimum one quality similar, and this comparison is direct comparison, and this comparison is made with the help of the words such as like, as, so as, etc. So simile is nothing but the comparison between two different things which have minimum one quality similar, and this is direct comparison, and this comparison is made with the help of the words like, as, so as, etc. For example, your words are as sweet as sugar. Your words are as sweet as sugar. So which two things are compared here? The first thing, words, your words. Those your words are compared with the sugar. So your words are sweet, and sweetness is compared, and this sweetness is compared with the help of as. So simile is comparison between two different things which have minimum one quality similar. Now find out the examples from this poem of the simile. If you observe the poem, if you look at the poem, you will find there are the examples of simile. This third line, blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. So blue color is used here, or that comparison is made with the halcyon wild. So it is an example of simile. Now the next example of simile, here in this line, as this word is used, that is why it is simile. And in this line, like the plumes of peacock, purple and green, that clothes are compared with the plumes of peacock, and the color of those clothes are similar to the plumes of peacock. So, and that comparison is made with the word like. So it is also an example of simile. Now the next, white as a feather and white as a cloud. Now those clothes which the weavers are weaving for the funeral shroud, that cloth is white, but that whiteness is compared with that white as, with the help of word as, with the feather and cloud. So the whiteness is described with the words feather and cloud. So clothes are as white as the cloud or the feather. In this way, those two main figures of figures of speech are used in this poem. Now, star, I have made star in front of the lines of alliteration, and I have made tick marks in front of the lines of simile. Now let's move forward. What is the rhyming scheme of this poem? You know, rhyming scheme. If you read this poem minutely, you will find that this word day rhymes with the word gay, and this word wild rhymes with the word child. In the same manner, in next stanza, that night, this word rhymes with bright, and green, this word rhymes with queen. In the similar manner, this word still rhymes with the chill, and this word cloud, it rhymes with the shroud. So if we title it, that day, we will title it as A. Which word is rhyming with this word? It is gay. So again, the similar title we will give there. Wild, so it is not similar to this word, so we will title it as B. And child, it rhymes with that wild, so we will title it as B. So students, what is the rhyming scheme of this poem? The rhyming scheme is A B B. So A B B. This is the rhyming scheme. Rhyming scheme A B B. And which are the rhyming words? Day, gay, wild, child. Those are the rhyming pairs in the first stanza. This is the rhyming scheme of the first stanza. Similarly, night, bright, those are the rhyming pairs. Green, queen, those are the rhyming pairs. And again, in the next stanza also, the rhyming scheme remains same, A B B. So students, once again, I will revise the poem. This poem deals with our life. Metaphorically, our life is described in this poem. It speaks about our childhood, our youth or our adulthood, and finally it speaks about our death or our aged life. When I was reading this poem at that time, I remember couplet of Gadi Madgulkar to describe this poem. So if you read that song from Jagacha Pathivar, it is Marathi movie from Jagacha Pathivar, and in that line, Ek Dhaga Sukhacha, Shambar Dhage Dukhache, in that song, this poem, you can compare that song to this poem. So what are those lines? I will sing that particular couplet from that song. So first stanza. मुकी अंगडी बालपणाची रंगीत वसरे तारुण्याची. So it is childhood. मुकी अंगडी बालपणाची रंगीत वसरे तारुण्याची. जीर्ण शाल मग उरे शेवटी लेणे वार्धक्याचे एक धागा सुखाचा. So thank you friends. In next lecture we will meet with another interesting topic. I hope all of you have understood this poem. Thank you very much.